I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Please call the roll. Ms. John.
Here.
Mr. Sharon.
Here.
Dr. Bridges. Mr. Jester. Here. Ms. Romeo. Here. Colonel Waters.
Here.
All right. Dr. Martin Luther King Awards.
There are some special guests today. They were honored at our recent Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, but I'm going to ask Ms. Kelly Mims to come up. She coordinated that, and she is going to introduce everybody.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Mims. I'm a counselor over at Tomlinson, and this year I was invited to be a part of the committee for the Martin Luther King Jr. Program, and I was over the essay committee. And something also we wanted to do this year is to add an art project as well, an art contest for those students who may not be writers, but they enjoy art. And so we chose a elementary student, a middle school student, and a high school student for each of the two different subject areas. And the subject was actually celebrating diversity. And they were to take their own take on celebrating diversity and run with it. So I'm just going to introduce those that are here, and then if you all would come up and read your essays, and then also come up and just show your art and maybe explain. And if you want someone to come up and stand with you or do it in your stead, we can do that as well. Okay? Our elementary essay winner was Bryn Barbier from John Adams Elementary, and our middle school essay winner was Anastasia Beckett from MacArthur Middle School, and our high school winner, who is not with us tonight, is Riley McKinney from MacArthur High School. And our art winners are Carver Aguilera from UBish and Nairee Bailey from MacArthur Middle School. So if you two girls would come up and share your essays with us, and then you two come up and share your art, and we will be on our way.
Celebrating Diversity by Bryn Barbier. When I think of the word diversity, I think of my class. My class is not disrespectful to anybody. We accept any and everybody who walks through the door. When diversity comes to mind, I think of being nice and accepting people, whoever they are. Another way is helping each other, and it doesn't matter who you are or what you do. We treat each other with respect. If Martin Luther King Jr. didn't have diversity, we wouldn't all be in the same school. If he wouldn't have done anything, the world would be a different place. So every day I have diversity. I'm respectful, kind, loyal, and don't make fun of anybody. That's how I show diversity.
Celebrating Diversity by Anastasia Beckett. When I was little, I did not like my food to touch. I believed that each item should be in its own little area and not invade the space that was occupied by the other foods. It was not until later in life that I realized that if some foods do touch each other, they may become enhanced with different textures and flavors. Cultural diversity is not unlike this. The more we keep people separate or divide ourselves with identifiers and labels, the more likely we are to lose the opportunity to find a mixture of the different cultures that is exciting, fascinating, and will allow for a richer experience. A good way to celebrate diversity is through food and stories, unique dishes, and folklore from around the world. My family celebrates diversity through food and holiday celebrations. We have added many traditions over the years due to the influence of guests that have come to join our festivities. A few examples of this are German potato salad and bratwurst made by our German neighbor, and platanos made by our Puerto Rican family friend, whom we call Aunt. These, plus a few other dishes that have accumulated throughout the years, add to the classic American entrees of our family holiday get-togethers. Luckily, I have a family that invites people to join us for celebrations, no matter their beliefs, cultures, or ethnicity. We are always open to learning about others and their families and traditions. Because of this, I have been raised to not look at people based on appearance or where they come from, but as individuals. That adds richness to our family, not unlike how mixing food on my plate adds the extra depth to my palate. These gatherings are an opportunity to celebrate diversity by acknowledging our similarities and sharing our differences, where one can be oneself.
He's a little shy. They haven't seen your artwork, so just say your name.
My name is Carver Aguilera.
And show your picture over here. Over there. And then you turn around and show it over there. And to our board members and and what does your poster represent? Talking to this, step up. I know you're a little shy. I'm proud of him. He's doing this. What does your poster tell? You want to just read what it says? Okay, go ahead.
We are all part of the puzzle of peace.
Excellent.
I'm Nairi Bailey, and this is my artwork.
We were going to ask parents and students, if you will loan them to us for the month of February, we'd like to put them in our hallway. We'll get them to you at the 1st of March, if you will loan them to us for the month of February. Be a good idea? Okay. There we go. If anything happens to them, Miss Mims is responsible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Mims and students, appreciate.
Now, before I let y'all go, you all are welcome to leave, but I want to point out to the board that I think everybody who helped organize this year's Martin Luther King celebration was part of our leadership group last year. Ms. Mims, Mr. Duncan, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but people who, they took this on as a project voluntarily, so I appreciate their help in all this. So.
I feel that way every single time I come up here and look at myself on those monitors. I do. Don't be shy, okay?
Well, thank you all for coming. You all are welcome to leave, or you're welcome to hang out and view the board meeting. So thank you all. Okay. That was professional. That sounded professionally written. I mean, she did a good job.
I really like the palette one.
The analogies, yeah.
I loved it.
I was impressed. I write my superintendent column.
Dr. Deegan, do we have an architect's report?
Yes, we do. I've asked Corey Miller and a guest from AIP to come and share. We're just finishing up MacArthur Middle School roof and Eisenhower windows. I thought they'd come give us an update. So, Corey? And you'll have to reintroduce your colleague. I apologize.
No apologies necessary. I am new to Architects in Partnership in regard to the work here at this particular district. I have taken on another person's role, Stan Lewis, I believe you guys know very well. He's been a great mentor to me, and so it's a great pleasure that he has passed the baton on in helping you with your architectural projects. With that, I'll pass this along to Corey, who will tell you about the day-to-day ongoings with these projects. Thank you very much, and again, we greatly appreciate the relationship and look forward to a continued relationship with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
A project at Eisenhower High School going on right now that I believe everyone's starting to take note of. A window replacement. It'll be a complete window replacement for the whole school, and we actually have 23,000 square foot of window that are going to be replaced. This is a $1.3 million project, and it's going to include horizontal louver blinds on all the windows in all the classrooms. We're also wrapping up the re-roof of MacArthur Middle School, and that's a $1.2 million project. That included a complete re-roof of the original building, the addition, the replacement of the soffit panels up underneath the overhang, and we were also able to include re-roof of the auxiliary gym because of the competitive bidding. Got our prices down where they needed to be. That one is wrapping up right now. It originally had a completion time of 205 days, and that puts us at the end of January. Beginning of January, we were able to do the final inspection on that school and deem it substantially complete. That roof is considered a 10-year warranty roof. That's a no dollar limit warranty, and it'll include any defects in material or workmanship. We've got a couple other small projects that are finishing up. Replacement of mechanical units at Westfall, and the replacement or the upgrade of the electrical service at Douglas. Y'all have any questions? I'm sorry, the contractor is Westfall. At Whittier.
At Whittier.
It's been a long day. If I forgot a school, I'm in trouble.
Would you tell us your name, please?
I'm Corey Miller.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Miller?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the report.
Thank you.
Our departmental report, Dr. Deegan?
Under our departmental report, in addition to the reports in your undercover there, we also have, we're going to have Lynn Cordes come and share about School Messenger. And you gentlemen, you're welcome to step out if you need to. All right.
Good evening. I just wanted to share one of the goals we had in our communication department, and that was to standardize our communication with parents, the staff, and the district, the community. One of the ways that we're doing that is to meet the standardization with the notification system, which is School Messenger, and I'm sure all of you are a part of that. What we did was, in October, to get all of our staff and our schools and our sites organized, we had a training where all the principals attended and one alternate that would help disperse all of the notifications out. Once we had the training, we also had an opt-in day. So the opt-in day for the parents to receive text messages. School Messenger, you're allowed to send out voicemail, voice messages, text messages, and emails. The one stipulation that is if they want to receive text messages, they have to opt in. And in order to do that, they have to do it through the device. So there's still some parents and community members and staff members that aren't in that. So if they want, they can call their school site parents and make sure that the number is correct. That's one of the issues. A lot of parents say, well, I'm not receiving the phone calls, I'm not receiving the text messages. Part of that is our database here with Student Services and with HR run School Messenger. So even though the site might have the correct number, if HR and Enrollment Center don't, they're not receiving the notifications. So that was something we daily continue to address and make sure that we're doing. Also, if a parent is interested in receiving the messages, we have two different versions or kinds. It's generic and general messages and then emergency contact messages. The first contact is always going to receive the general, and that's as far as it goes. So a parent needs to determine, do they want to be the first priority contact or do they hear they're the second? So that's a little bit confusing. But all in all, it's going well. Schools are using it. We know because they're calling us and they're asking for help, and community members are calling, parents are calling, saying, hey, I know you guys sent something, I didn't get it, so what do I need to do? But all in all, it's working well.
Good.
Any questions?
Are we still, as board members, set up to receive all the notifications that we were before?
If the district level, yes.
Yes. Okay.
And I know that your sites have been assigned your contact information to if it regards an emergency with their school, a lockdown or something like that, a maintenance issue, water line breaks. You guys are attached to that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Ms. Cordes?
You asked my question.
All right. Thank you very much, Lynn. Appreciate it.
And schools are able, this year are starting to be able, they have the ability now to do their own alerts without having to, the principals can alert their own schools. And so that's been a good thing this year.
Did you want to talk about any of the departmental updates under separate cover?
No, just unless the board had any specific questions.
Yes. Your report, Dr. Deegan?
In my report, under item A, I have consideration and action concerning a resolution determining the maturities of and setting a date, time, and place for the sale of the $5,085,000 general obligation combined purpose funds for the school district. This is just setting a date for the sale of our next series of bonds from our 2014 bond election.
Okay. Do we have a date set up?
We do have a date set,
noon?
February 17th, noon.
Okay.
Good question.
Any other questions? Item B?
Okay, we do have to have action.
Okay. I need a motion and a second, please.
I move for approval.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Sharon?
Yes.
Ms. Romeo?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. John?
Yes. Apologize about that.
Oh, I should have done that.
Information item B.
Item B, it's an information item, and this is a little bit late because we've been waiting on the state to kind of get some clarity from them, but Ms. Diane Brandstetter is going to share our district mid-year budget update.
Evening. All right. We'll start with page 6 in the agenda. And luckily, we have 6 and 7 kind of sitting next to each other, so that'll make it a whole lot easier for us. First, let's start with the general fund an overall summary. Let me just say that our quote for the day, and I think that's what we're going to go with, Dr. Deegan and I are saying that so far, today, this is the answer. Because as we know, and as I continue on through here, you can find out that I still don't have all of the pieces of the puzzle yet. The state has yet to send us certain things that could impact us, so we're just kind of taking it one day at a time. On page 6 there in the general fund, you can see that as before, I've always separated what we considered our district items from our federal program items. So the district's budget is sitting at $104 million. We've projected to spend it, as of today, $93 million of that, leaving a balance of $11 million, and I'll explain that a little bit more when I get over on page 7. And the federal grants, their budget is $20 million, and they've already expended $16 million of it, leaving about $3.5 million of their budget. So let me flip over to page 7, and let's talk a little bit about that district portion, the $104 million. On that part, I separated it so that you can kind of see what we've expended so far on the district salaries and the non-salaries. The district salary portion of it, our budget is $89 million. Currently, we have spent all but $3.4 million of that. So we've spent about 96% of our salary budget. Now, there are still a few things that will come in the second semester, you know, spring sports, subs, those sorts of things that will come in to impact that balance. But overall, I think that the budget that we set for the salaries was good, and that due to the closing of those schools, I think we're in great shape to see some savings to come in there. Now, on the non-salary part of it, we budgeted $15.8 million, and currently we have $7.7 million of that not expended yet. Now, of that $7.7 million, $6.3 million of it is our revenue shortfall account. That is what when we set the budget at the beginning of the year, that's approximately what we had originally set the carryover to be, to move into and to allow for state cuts, that sort of thing. And now you can see that back on page 6, where it talks about, we set it at the beginning in September at $6.3 million. The only thing that we have received from the state was a very small adjustment on our flex benefits. To date, they had said we were going to take another 3% cut on all of the flex benefits, and we have not received that. We are anticipating that to be approximately $300,000 cut. Don't have that from them yet, so that is still on the table. The state aid, they usually give a mid-year update every year, and actually the district went up by $537,000. The next day was when we took the state cut on our state aid, which was $580,000. So the difference between the two, really, one was good, one wasn't so good, but overall, it did not change the district's position on that day. Now, originally in the newspaper, it originally said that we would take a 3% cut. All that we ended up taking was a 1.1% cut. So there's still on the table, likely, every month between now and June 30th, that other 1.9%, which is approximately about $900,000 that they could cut us again. So we have to keep that in mind. Okay, but overall, right now, we have a $6.3 million revenue shortfall to go into FY17, which to me, that is pretty awesome for us to be in such good shape as we are today. You know, we had to make some tough decisions, but all in all, I think it's going to help us weather the storm in the next 2 years. Okay, the other one that I've kind of mentioned in the last few months, down at the bottom when we talked about the motor vehicle collections, they seem to be fluctuating every month. We are monitoring them every month, and one month it's short about 800, now it's down to 700, and it's, all in all, we have not made any adjustment to the budget at all because we have some of the other revenue sources that we believe are coming in much better than we had anticipated. So they're kind of offsetting each other right now, but we still want to keep that in mind, you know, on our radar. Okay, let's move back to page 7 there, and let's talk a little bit about the federal grants. You see that, as I mentioned, their budget was about $20 million. Their balance is only at about $3.5 million left of their grants to spend. Let me mention one other thing about the district's non-salary portion. Of that $7.7 million, again, 6.3 of it is our revenue shortfall. So that means that there's still $1.4 million on the table, which are the district's building allocations, the administrative budgets, all the district-wide budgets, which those types of things are your insurance, your utilities, your phone bills, all of those types of things. So there's still the potential of $1.4 million that we will spend between now and the end of the year. Now, I say that to say that we have not, and that was the goal of Dr. Deegan, that we would not change any of the school's budgets this year. And we're going to hold to that. I believe that we're in good shape to do that. We don't want to impact the students in any way this year. So the only thing that could possibly come up, which we had one last agenda, the one utility that we had to make an adjustment on. But other than that, I don't believe that we're going to have too many other, hopefully we won't have too many other surprises that come up for us. But the portion that are the school's allocations, they still have until the middle of March to spend those. So that portion of theirs could possibly go down. Okay, so we wanted to make sure we let everybody know that we weren't changing any of their budgets yet this year. Okay, and that doesn't say that we're not monitoring them. Now, we are taking the time to look over the expenditures to make sure that, you know, we are being good stewards of the money. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about the revenue down below. Of the district-wide portion of it, you see that we've only collected 64% of our revenue, and that's kind of where the scary part comes in. There's still, you know, a great deal of our revenue that hasn't come. So we have to continue to monitor that in case anything else gets cut. Now on the federal grant side, they have expended up above in the expended column, they spent $7.4 million and we have collected 7.2 of it. So their revenues are coming in fairly well. We did have a slight delay on the Title I grant in November and December, but we got that grant approved and got all the money back in. So by the time we got to January, we're in good shape on their money coming in. Okay. Any other questions on the general fund? Any questions? Okay. Let's move to page 7 there, and we'll just talk briefly about the building levy. Again, I kept them separate, having the district-wide separate from Freedom. And in the levy currently, we have $1.2 million still on the table here. So the levy is doing exceptionally well. Again, they've got to go a whole another 6 months or 5 months. So the majority of that will be spent. Generally speaking, we try to carry over about $600,000 of that every year. Now, talking a little bit about Freedom, again, as we move down and get closer to the completion of it, it does show that on here, it kind of is a little bit deceiving. It shows that we are $205,000 in the hole. Now, you got to keep in mind that you're not seeing the other part of it, which is our match money. So when I put them back together, they're really okay at this point. And Dr. Deegan and I discussed that probably, and then maybe in the early part of March, we'll come in and give an update just on Freedom itself. Okay, so you can kind of see where we're at. Hopefully get a little bit more clearer as to when the completion is going to come into play, and then get the final documents all to Washington. Okay, all in all, the revenue on the levy side, we've already received 89% of that. So that fund, you don't really have to worry about it because generally speaking, it's all the ad valorem money. So it's pretty solid that it's going to come in. And then on Freedom, you have to claim it as we go. As the expenditures go out, then I claim them the same way. Okay? The bond and the city sales tax, you're getting monthly updates on those, so I elected not to go over those. But if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer. But all in all, I think we're in good shape.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, we braced ourselves, if we can get through this year, right now we're at the $2 million mark of what we're short projected. If we don't go above 3, we've planned well for this year, and next year we'll start the year with good standing. 3 is what we kind of hope, 3 is kind of what we braced for in cuts, this $3 million. Depending on what the governor does in the legislature, we'll see how next year, that's all the so far issue. We'll see what they give us next year, but this year, steady, no impact to the school operations, et cetera, so.
Very good.
Superintendent announcements?
Yeah, I'll try to get these very quick, but they're all very, very important. First, Mr. Mattingly informed me that the Lawton High, the wiring is complete on the entry system, and they're moving to the other buildings. They'll do the wiring in the buildings first, and then they'll install the hardware, so the security systems are they're on the way. I had a question about Freedom electricity bills last month. We did some, Mr. Smith, Kyle Smith did some investigating, and we discovered that actually we planned Freedom's electricity based on 89,000 square feet of Geronimo Road and Sheridan Road, and it's really 210,000 square feet. And so Mr. Smith, the comparison between Freedom and Central Middle School is actually more apt, which means it's actually in line. They're actually coming in line with Central Middle School. And so once we get everything built, we still believe it's going to be in good. We still have that big hallway, but everything's in line and in proportion to where it should be. So we just thought that was interesting. I want to give a big congratulations out to Mr. Bruce Harrington of Eisenhower High School as the National Federation of High School Coaches, the Oklahoma Coach of the Year. That was in the newspaper recently. It's a big honor.
Okay.
Also mentioned that City of Lawton is now using some of our buildings that have been closed recently. They're using the gyms for the Little League, basketball, et cetera.
Okay.
Rooms like, schools like Rockland, et cetera. And one more thing, today all the principals and the PTA president and one of the PTA representatives, we had a meeting here today. Various things, we had set this meeting up over a week ago, but while we were there, we took the last part of the meeting to talk about bullying issues in the district. I know that has been a concern for some people, and what we did is we just presented some facts. These are from our student information system, and by law, all bullying instances have to be not only reported, they have to be documented, and they have to be documented that they have been addressed. And so it was interesting, I was proud to share that our principals are doing a tremendous job. In the last 3 years, they've cut bullying instances, and these are just reports of bullying, down by almost 50%. They've cut them in half. As you can see, in 2012-13, 196 at this time of the year. 2015-16, only 101 this time of the year. Mr. Mattingly shared some information. It really only involves, this number only involves 0.6% of our students, but when you really get down to the definition of bullying, it's a repeat behavior, and repeat behavior has only been seen in 3 students this year. So among all these instances, only 3 students have actually repeated their bullying behavior and had to be disciplined for it. Year to date, I think it's interesting to know, bullying is pretty evenly divided among the elementary schools, the middle schools, and the high school. As you can see, that's about a third and third of our population. So it's no more prominent in the high school, the middle schools, or the elementary schools. And I do want to, even though it only involves a very, very small number of our students, I want to publicly say, if one student gets bullied, it's too many. I went to 15 schools as a student, and when you go to 15 schools, you get bullied sooner or later. And I'm just proud for our principals, the measures they put into place in the last few years, the efforts they go through. Every incident that is reported to us, we have to hear about it. Every incident that is reported is documented, is investigated, and they've done a great job of getting the repeats and dealing with the problems. And one of the programs that's worked at both Eisenhower Middle School and Eisenhower High School is the Not in Our Nest campaign in which students, and they have brought you a T-shirt, each of you have a T-shirt. If it's not the right size, we can switch them out in a minute. But every board member now has a T-shirt, not in our nest, it's a hashtag for Twitter, where students are training students on bullying. It's been incredible. I got to witness it, I got to watch it the other day at the beginning of January, a very good program, I was impressed. Any of you do any of that training? I caught you off guard. Oh, they have the shirts. See, there you go. They have the pop quiz at the end of this, you didn't know that, huh? All right.
When did they implement that? A month ago? About a month ago?
Yes.
Okay.
And, you know, Eisenhower Middle School, for example, has cut down their bullying over 66% just since last year alone. And of course, I mentioned here MacArthur High School and MacArthur Middle School have had tremendous decreases in bullying. These are just reports. And then we only have the handful of students that actually went on to repeat their behavior. So I'm very proud of our principals. There's a lot of concern on social media lately. We've been trying to track down all those people, and unfortunately, a lot of the people making comments, they're not even parents. We're not even able to verify their parents. They may be, but we can't verify them by their Facebook username. But we've done our best to try to contact them. You know, we want to know when a student's bullying. And what the meeting came up with, the end of the meeting was the PTA and the principals agreed that this week everybody's going to go back to their building and make sure that we reiterate to parents and to students, how do you deal with bullying, what is bullying, who to contact, and at the end of the day, I told them, if you have any doubt, just call my office, we'll get you to the right person. We actually did have one phone call this afternoon after the KSWO story, and we've already got that person connected to the right person. And so the principals, the PTA, everybody is very serious, and I think the numbers show that bullying has improved in our district dramatically in the last 2 or 3 years. And in some schools in the last year, it's just phenomenal. Principals, staff, students, and counselors have just an amazing job of addressing this, taking it seriously. So I want to kudos to them. And I think I will stop with that. That's the end of my announcements.
Is there anything in the consent agenda that anyone would like to remove?
I need to remove page 30, and I need to replace page 30 and 31
Okay, with our handout?
with the handout. And what it is the original contract was to feed them, but since then they have decided not to feed them. And so we're replacing pages 30 and 31 with the handout you have on your table.
Okay. And this is the youth suicide prevention training?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No longer feeding.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda
Second.
Okay. With the
with the replacement page, pages 30, 31.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Mr. Sharon?
Yes.
Ms. Romeo?
Yes.
Ms. John?
Yes. We also need an executive session tonight.
Yes, we do.
We need a motion.
So I make a motion we go into an executive session.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Sharon?
Yes.
Ms. Romeo?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. John?
Yes.